only 2/3 of Americans want to share a bed with their romantic partner. It's kind of stunning, like how many people actually don't want to do this.
Totally. This podcast is a Dear Media production.
Hi, guys.
Hi, guys.
Welcome back to another episode of Girls Gotta Eat.
Welcome back. Should we be cuffed up?
You want to link for the
Cuffing
whole
season?
episode?
Yeah, I just want to feel close to you. We haven't been together enough.
We're not going on a 4-day vacation together tomorrow.
How sexy is this? Rayna and I right now are wearing our red hot vibes. Why are you laughing, Tessa?
We're going to do BDSM for this episode, you guys.
Our sexy red kink links.
Yeah, we're doing red for fall. We did a whole red line for vibes only. So, do you want to hold hands? This is so weird.
It's a nice little visual.
So, we're cuffed together.
Yeah, these are so sexy. We'll talk about it more, but I just thought it would be a fun thing to stay kinked, stay linked the whole episode.
Stay linked, kick. All right, we'll jump into it. We're going to thank our partners really quickly. We'll tell you about these,
happy cuffing
these
season.
handcuffs.
That was what I was trying to get to. It's cuffing
You
season.
want to cuff me up? Okay. Thanks to Bioptimizers. Get 10% off at bioptimizers.com/girlsgottaeat with code GGE, and Boll & Branch. Get 20% off and free shipping on your first set of sheets at bollandbranch.com/GGE.
Yes, and thanks to Base, get 15% off your first purchase at basetravel.com/GGE, and Hungry Root. Get 40% off your first delivery and free veggies for life at hungryroot.com/GGE.
Okay, so if you guys want to paint the town red this fall, our Vibes Only red line is out. Red kink links and red velvet blow gel. This might be my favorite blow gel that we've ever done.
Favorite flavor?
It's like chocolatey. It's not too sweet. And then we have like the vanilla
good.
frosting also. So it's just like a lot of like cakey, desserty type flavors. But this will make your mouth water and salivate. It's good on any body part. Just an oral enhancer. So that's available at vibesonly.com. And our sexy silicone kink links are
Yes,
red
this
now.
is the best red. I mean, it truly is like that Ferrari red color that we're obsessed with. And the kink links are just these super soft, silicone, stretchy handcuffs. They don't have any lock and key. You're not going to get locked up in them. It's perfect to kind of start your bondage journey, if you will. They're just really fun to use. Throw them in your bag for an overnight trip or vacation and just turn up the heat in the bedroom. And then you can bundle them together with the red hot bundle, the red velvet suck and blow gel, and the red kink links. And that is the sexy red. We should have got sexy red to promote it.
Speaking, I wore red in the last episode. Speaking of getting naughty, we just got back from Sin City.
We did. Sin City kicked off the tour with the most perfect show, the most perfect weekend. I mean, no notes.
You planned a great show. I planned a great trip.
Yes, exactly.
It couldn't be better. I mean, also, we've just gotten back from Pittsburgh, Detroit, and Indianapolis, but Ashley and I are recording that ahead of time. So thank you guys for coming out. If anything crazy happens, we'll recap that. But Vegas was amazing. Kicking off the tour has been incredible. Just being in the presence of you all is just, it's unbelievable. And we were able to do the show at the Cosmopolitan in Las Vegas. If you guys are there, I really can't recommend staying there enough. They have incredible theater. They have great restaurants. We had a wonderful dinner at Beauty in Essex. And
I never left the hotel, not one time.
No, I never went outside.
That's not really my style. Like, I like to get out, see the sights. Did not leave the hotel. You do not need to leave the hotel. We had an amazing dinner, like Rayna said, Beauty in Essex Friday night in the hotel, then the show, then Marquee Saturday night. Everything's in the hotel. We had one meal like in the food court. We had breakfast sandwiches.
They have egg slut there?
Egg slut, yeah. Long line for egg slut. We had to go to this other place. But like we also just wanted to be in the room. Best bathroom I've ever experienced in my life. The bathroom was so sexy.
And chandelier bar for cocktails. And it's 3 levels. And we were able to, we had 20 friends with us come meet us for drinks.
So huge.
And it wasn't like crazy or terrible. I mean, I really can't recommend staying there enough. It's just like one-stop shop. Everybody treated us so well. It was just a wild, fun weekend.
A solid weekend in Vegas is like my favorite weekend. I mean, just 2 nights tops. I can't imagine 3. I can't.
I don't know how people survive that.
Like when we went in May, again, that festival got canceled, but like we still had the best time. Like regardless, I mean, because you can really just do a show. We were the show this time, but before, obviously we had our fancy dinner, then we went to a show the next night, and you can just like do it that way. One thing I did not know that we were going to be on marquees all over the city, like the Aria marquee, like the biggest marquees all over. We had friends drive in and they were like, you guys are everywhere. We're like pulling over to take pictures. I didn't think when we like designed the tour poster that we would be 100 feet tall, my cleavage and Rayna sucking her finger. But here we are. So we were just like
your lips wrapped around that slice of pizza. I was like, I can't believe this is happening.
Huge. Like I saw it when we were at the pool at the Cosmo. I like saw it on the Aria marquee and like screamed. I didn't expect it. And it's like so huge and it's so special. And we'd never done Vegas, and it was a perfect way to kick off the tour. And it was like 20 of our friends and our whole team. And I mean, I just feel so emotional about how much Sparkle Eyes was there, my fiance, and just feel so excited about how it all went down. The theme was wedding. You guys dressed up. So many.
So we're theming the whole tour, and then we just did Slumber Party. The next up is going to be Halloween, and then Western. Everybody dressed up. We always tell you guys you don't have to, but you really bring it. And we might bring you on stage, do a costume competition.
But the wedding theme, like Slumber Party, is so easy.
Well, I said to you, I didn't know people were going to travel with their wedding dresses. That's a huge amount of stuff.
So many wedding dresses. Beetlejuice brides, bridesmaids, priests, like popes. I mean, crazy stuff. Grooms, flower girls. Izzy was like the hottest flower girl, our friend Izzy.
Always.
Yeah, so we obviously thank you to the Cosmo and the way they treated us, and we had a table at Marquee afterwards, and we had an amazing dinner at Beauty and Essex and all of that. But the Pack drumline opened our show. They're the most iconic, best drumline in the world. They've been at the Super Bowl. They were at the DNC. They're the drumline for the Chicago Bulls. They did have a Vegas show, so they have a presence in Vegas, and they opened our Chicago Theater show last year, and they're just the absolute fucking best. That's all you can say. They run America's Got Talent, and they're just incredible. So they open the show. We walk out with them. It's just like so high energy and so crazy. And then we had Bobby Westside, who is our friend. He emceed and just got more naked as the night went on. And he's incredible. You guys should give him a follow on Instagram, Bobby X Westside. He has this great app to find a trainer in New York City called Adonis. Just give him a follow. He's such an amazing content creator. He's like our on-staff content creator.
I'm about to fire Ryan.
No, Ryan made the most incredible hype video. So thank you to Ryan, of course. He made our hype video. Guys, go back and watch it. It's like our favorite to date. And we had the Chippendales.
It was the most iconic. All of them were so hot.
Yeah.
They're incredible. They know exactly what they're doing. They were just so iconic. We've had so many strippers at our shows and dancers, and they're just wild. Their interaction with the crowd is incredible. Their preparation, the songs, it was amazing.
They're the GOATs. I mean, they've been doing this, I think, 40 years. They have a show in Vegas. It's at the Rio. You guys can catch it. We highly recommend it. I mean, I can't think of a better thing to go see. And we just got a taste of it at our show. So they just did like one number and it was unbelievable. And so we just want to hype them and tell you guys, like, it's like you can't go to Vegas and not see the Chippendales. I mean, they are Vegas. So go see their show. They did like a cowboy Western theme and some crowd interaction. Some people probably got some lap dances, felt some bare bodies. And yeah, we saw a lot. They show a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like we haven't done shows in Vegas ever. And now I only want to do shows in Vegas.
Yeah. I know. It was really fun.
And just shout out to Tessa. I mean, we took 8 months off of touring, and it's so hard to like jump back in and just like have every single thing running perfectly. And you just juggled so much. You looked beautiful. I loved your outfit. Your fit was so good. And it was just a really fun, like, get the gang back together. Our whole team was there. Our whole Vibes team came. I loved it.
Yes, Tessa crushed it. Just, it's like you never took any time off. Just got right back in the swing of things. And yeah, we sold these incredible Vibes only vibrator bracelets. We'll be talking more about them in the coming weeks, but they were so fun. They're only exclusively at the shows, and people were buying them and just buying them with their friends. And Rayna and I made a little appearance at the merch table, and it was just really fun.
Yeah. So it was a great trip, you guys. We just really loved it and can't recommend all that stuff if you're planning a trip to Vegas also.
I love a Vegas weekend. I love getting to dress like hot and slutty. I love the outfits. It's like nothing is too much. Always a giant hotel room.
I was like looking like I wore a costume, and I can do that.
That's
in
the
Vegas.
vibes. Yeah. We're probably a little long-winded on this, but we just had some thank yous and just really wanted to hype how incredible this tour kickoff was. And it was just really special for us to like be there, be on the marquees, like do the whole thing and like be like a Vegas act.
I'm alive again
in the city.
I loved it. So thank you to everybody who came and made the show so great.
Traveled for it. Yeah.
Yes. All of you who dressed up. And of course, Bobby and Ryan and the Chippendales and the Pack and Tessa and everybody. And we'll see you guys on the road.
So another thing, sort of Vegas related, but also just life related, engagement related, I just wanted to talk about and share is that I changed my ring a little bit. And I wanted to talk about it. I don't know if anyone's like zooming in and noticing, but it's been a little different, the few different rings for the past few weeks. So if you're new here, I got engaged on August 31st. And I mentioned this before that I got the ring that I wanted. Like it's exactly what I had like picked out for myself. thought I wanted something simple. I wanted a ruby and just kind of a simple gold band with a hidden halo. And that's what I got. And I like kind of expressed that with Rayna, and it got passed along. And it wasn't like I had a Pinterest board. It wasn't like I sent him anything. It just was like, it's what I wanted, and that's what I got. And I don't really think I put that much thought into it. I think I've always known I wanted a ruby, but I just guess I didn't think too much about the band. I didn't ever go try anything on. I just was like, here's what I want. Simple, easy, done and done. And that's what I got. And I just felt like it was a little plain, and it just wasn't really me. And I had a lot of mixed feelings about it because I was like, this is what I wanted. Like, this is what I asked for, outright, but like, I got what I asked for, and it doesn't really fit me. And, even my mom has said, like, I was surprised. I didn't really think it was you. And yeah, you've told me that like you and my friend who designed the ring were kind of like, you sure she doesn't want any like diamonds on the side, or she doesn't want a different type of band? And everyone's like, Ashley wants what Ashley wants, and I don't know all the conversations that were taking place, but I think everyone was like, should we try to do something different? And I don't know.
It was too much of a risk for me to add something to it. Like,
yeah.
I guess I was just like, if she gets it and she doesn't like it, she can add to it. But like,
yeah,
you can't take away from it. Like, our friend designed it. She did a great job. And Sparkle Eyes had sent me the photos and was like, what do you think of these different ideas? And I'd asked another friend of ours, it's like really into fashion. And it's a lot of pressure to like pick something for somebody else. Like, truly only you can pick what you want. Like, it's probably the only thing in the world I don't want another person to pick for me. Anybody else can pick like a dress for me or a backpack.
A backpack?
A
dress or a backpack.
A backpack, a piece of luggage or a purse or shoes. But like, that's like the one thing I don't really want anybody else. I don't need somebody else to be, even if somebody's like a really good friend who I asked, she's my friend Taylor. She picks all my outfits.
Yeah.
I think she's the most stylish person, but like, what she likes is not what you're going to like. So it's so subjective. And so I sent her these ideas and she was like, I don't know, like these ideas could like not age that well. Like that's what's in style right now, but it's not really classic. And we went back and forth and I was just like, let's not add a bunch of stuff. Cause like she has requested this one thing and this is like a huge pivot.
Yeah. So it's hard to like get an engagement ring from the person you love and you want to spend your life with, and this thing you're supposed to wear forever, and then is super symbolic of this day, and have to kind of feel like it's not what you want. And I honestly think if it was like something he picked out, maybe I would have even felt differently. It would have just been more sentimental, and it would have felt different than like, I made a mistake here,
Totally.
And on top of it, it was too big, and that's not his fault. Like this is on me. I mean, I have to say it's half and half. I told him I was between a 5.5 and a 6. He went with 6 because God forbid you have too small of a ring. What are you supposed to do? What a nightmare. And I'm actually a 5, maybe even like a little bit smaller. So he went with the 6 to be safe, and that's a whole size up. So even if it'd been a 5.5, it would have been, it's regardless. It's like, not like he just guessed, but like I kind of gave some misinformation, and bottom line is it was too big anyway. So we needed to get it resized. And I felt like that was an opportunity to just kind of express to him how I was feeling and talk to my friend who designed it and just be like, what can we do here? I love the stone. It's so special. It's a Burmese ruby. It's really rare. They like work so hard to find it. Like the stone is like so absolutely perfect, but I just wanted to redo the band and have it be a little more blingy and a little more me. And so I talked to him. It was like a very emotional conversation, and like I felt so terrible, and he was understanding. I think he was like a little bit bummed. He was just like, this symbolized the day, and he had it engraved. And so I don't know, it was a hard conversation for me to have, but he just wants me to be happy. And my friend, again, her name is Anushka, and her company is called Aurora Fine Jewels, and she's done a lot of jewelry for me, for you, for our friends and stuff like that. And she was just like, I reset my engagement ring. It's no big deal. It happens all the time. It's like just the band. It's not like you hate your ring. Like you love it. You just want it a little bit different, and we have to resize it anyway, and it's fine. And, I worked with her, and she was in touch with him, and we put it on like a pave diamond band. And it fits perfectly, and it is the most perfect thing I've ever seen. I can't stop looking at it. I feel like the way I like want to feel, where I'm just obsessed. I can't believe how perfect it is. I couldn't have imagined it being this perfect. It's so wonderful. I took the band from the first ring, and I'm wearing that, and so I'm still got the engraved, and it's like on my other finger. And Danushka got it FedExed overnight from the East Coast to Vegas, and it arrived at the day of the show. So we had to literally day of the show, go pick it up in the FedEx office, and we like unboxed it together, and it was just like a special moment. And I just feel so happy. And everybody I've talked to is like, you should have what you want. You know, like if that's the advice I can give. I mean, everybody has a different way of going about this. Some people show their partner exactly what they want. Some people show their best friend. Always make sure they know your exact size. Go get it sized. Make sure they have that. But I don't know. I mean, I don't know what it would be like to have your fiance pick out something and then you hate it. That's a real hard conversation to have. But also, we've talked about this on an episode we did with Morgan from Two Hot Takes with like that guy that wanted to design it completely and not even get her input. And that's weird too, you know? So my situation was just me kind of making a mistake, kind of thinking I wanted something that I really didn't. And then being like, let's just make a small change and change the band to a stone I already love, and I could not be more happy. It's perfect.
I'm glad you love it. You should look at it every day and feel like, I can't believe I get to wear this. This is like the most exciting thing. And I think anything less than that, it's like hard to get through the day. You gotta look at it all fucking day.
Yeah, I think some people can like, maybe initially they don't love it, but then they learn to love it, especially if it's something that their partner.
I'm not gonna learn to love it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure we have a million different stories of a whole spectrum of women who weren't 100% pleased with their ring. And then they were like, but then I loved it, or we made a little tweak here and there. But I don't know. I mean, this is my story. Maybe if it had fit perfectly, I wouldn't have bothered, but I'm like, we got to change it anyway. Let's just do what I wanted, what I should have done in the first place. And this is on me. And this was my mistake. And again, also like go try rings on and see if you want I like thick bands. I don't know what I was thinking. Like
you have really long fingers. So to have like a thin, dainty band.
Yeah. I'm not like a dainty jewelry girl.
Yeah.
So anyway, just don't be all willy-nilly like I was. Oh yeah, I just want a ruby. And then just don't try on. Like
that was crazy.
Yeah. And like then people start to slowly be like, yeah, it was a little weird. It wasn't you.
It wasn't you. And it's the perfect amount of bling. It's not obnoxious. Like I look back at the ring that I chose years ago, like it's so gaudy and over the top. And like, I would have regretted that long term, but like, this is like the perfect amount of bling and it's shiny. You get to look at it every day and feel excited. And ultimately at the end of the day, like I felt really terrible. You had to have that conversation with him, but like, you gave like really specific instructions of exactly what you wanted to me, to Anushka, to him. So like no one did anything wrong. Everybody gave you exactly what you wanted. And like we were trying to like interpret other things. We were like, I don't want to have a bunch of stuff she might not like.
Yeah. So, and he was wonderful. He's so understanding. He loves this. He's like, yeah, it looks better. Obviously, it's beautiful. It has diamonds on it. It's like perfect. But I don't know. I mean to ask you, do you feel like everyone's rings are huge? Do you think this is maybe with the more popularity of lab-grown diamonds, which we fully support, which they're no different. They just don't hold their value as well. They look exactly the same. They're super quality. The only difference is they just don't age well, I guess. So I support it. But like, do you feel like you're seeing insane engagement rings?
Yeah, I've saw a bunch this weekend where I was like, oh, you're just walking around rocking that.
I'm also not accusing anyone of it not being a real diamond. I don't
care if it's a real diamond.
I don't care at all.
It doesn't matter to me.
Like, they're getting bigger. People are going crazy.
Well, I think these lab growns are like cheaper. People are going to moissanite. Like, I just don't think it matters as much anymore.
This is just an observation. I have no judgment around it. But they're getting to the point where I'm like, how is it even comfortable?
Well, it's like flopping around.
It's
and I'm like,
huge.
I also just like don't want to be in public with something that big because like, God forbid somebody does think it's real. And you're like.
Or it could be real. Who's to say?
God forbid it is real. You're just like, what? You just robbed me? What am I going to do if somebody tries to rob me? Nothing.
Also, though, like, how awkward is it to get robbed for your engagement ring? You got to pull it off. If you get mugged and they want one specific piece of jewelry, isn't that a little bit of an awkward moment? You're like, hold on, let me get my watch off. Here. You like pull in your ring. Oh, your fingers are swollen. You're like, here you go.
You try
like,
to go.
What are you supposed to do?
They're like, we'll wait. We'll wait for this. Get some lube on that thing.
I know it's not a funny thing to get mugged, but can someone weigh in with like, how do you do it? You're like, hold on, let me take my earrings out.
I feel like it'd be the hardest thing to take. No, earrings would be harder if I was shaking.
But like, it's not a here's my purse and they run off. It's a like, let me take off a tight fitting piece of jewelry.
I feel like with a gun pointed at me, I could pretty much take off anything. But yes, it is. What if you swell?
I'm not saying I wouldn't. I'm saying it's an awkward moment.
What if you had somebody like holding you at gunpoint and you're like, listen, just be honest with me. This is awkward. And they're like, take off your ring, Ashley.
Then you're like, it's lab grown.
And you're like, but it's silly, isn't it? I talked about this in my podcast.
Do you think anyone's getting mugged and they're like, it's lab grown, don't bother?
Me? I would say that, and I would also be like, I have children. I'm a mother. Please don't rob me. That's the first thing out of my mouth is somebody try to rob me. I'm a mother. I'm a mother. I need this. That's the only reason why I'd have kids.
Oh my God. It is funny to think of what would you say? Like, as you're getting mugged.
My knuckles are swollen today.
This isn't a liar. Really? This isn't a liar. It's a deep cut for the millennials.
No, but I'm glad that you have what you want, because that would be it'd be sad to look at your finger every day and be like, this is the symbol of this thing, and I ordered it. I got what I wanted on the menu. And
oh, and then in the interim, when it was getting done, I was wearing a dupe.
Listen, it was nice.
So I bought this
Can I get that ring?
I bought this Amazon dupe.
When did I start wearing?
It's nice.
It's probably a piece of glass that they like stained, and like it's a nice ring.
A nice ring. So if you're really zooming in, you've seen 3 different rings in the last 3 weeks, and I'm telling you guys why now. Thanks
She's
for
breaking
listening.
her silence.
Yeah, breaking my silence. Okay, so again, we just got back from travels and we have our base bags. Obviously, this is the luggage that we all use in our family, all of our team. I mean, we're just obsessed. And we're going to be packing a lot. So they have you covered every size of suitcase for one. There's a small carry-on, a little bit larger carry-on. There's a medium check-in roller and a large check-in roller. I'm obsessed with my medium check-in roller as of late. I have a glossy black. I'm on their site now. This maple color, I'm obsessed with. So they always are launching new colors, but of course they have their classic colorways too. Oh my God, that glossy black, I'm just so obsessed with. And then all the totes too, all their bags. We love the Weekender, the mini Weekender, the East to West tote. What'd you bring to Vegas? I brought my East to West.
Oh, I bought my 29-inch that I checked and my East to West.
Okay.
East to West is always with me.
Well, sometimes you
On
go
every
East to West
trip.
and I'm mini Weekender. I have that red mini Weekender. So whatever, we're always just doing it.
And Tessa has the regular Weekender.
Tessa has the pink set. We got her that for Christmas. Every piece is made to look better with miles, so you don't have to worry about it in cargo or overhead. I love when I spot other people traveling in the airport and on the airplane that have their base bags too. So there's bags for your dirty laundry. There's the cushion handle we're obsessed with. And if you guys didn't know, this base was created by Shay Mitchell, the actress and model, who wanted to create perfect luggage that's fashionable and functional. We're obsessed with it. I just there is no other luggage brand for me right now. Like, this is it. And I feel like I'm a lifer. So you guys can join our club with Base. Right now, Base is offering our listeners 15% off your first purchase by visiting basetravel.com/GGE. Go to basetravel.com/GGE for 15% off your first purchase. That's BEIStravel.com/GGE.
Okay, and over 75% of the population is magnesium deficient. Unique Spectrum, no other supplement on the market, offers 7 types of magnesium in one bottle, like Magnesium Breakthrough. So I found out about this actually after I had surgery last summer, and our plastic surgeon, who I just love so much, I think that he does so much research to just get your body healthy after surgery, recommended this, and I started taking it. I really liked it. So what sets Magnesium Breakthrough apart is the ability to support healthy levels of stress hormones like cortisol, a better balanced stress response in your nervous and hormonal systems, and healthy production of GABA, the relaxing neurotransmitter, leading to a more peaceful and a better flow state. So it does lots of great stuff for you. The stress management, it'll boost energy and mood. It'll promote relaxation and mental clarity. And they have a 365-day money-back guarantee. So ever since I discovered this last summer from our plastic surgeon, I've been taking it. It's great. I recommend checking out if it works for you. Nurture your mind and body with this all-natural, full-spectrum magnesium supplement. Simply go to buyoptimizers.com/girlsgottaeat and use promo code GGE during checkout to save 10%. And if you subscribe, not only will you get amazing discounts and free gifts, you will make sure your monthly supply is guaranteed.
Okay.
All right, so now that we're back, I had the funniest interaction this morning. So,
Okay.
I'm like, I love the contractor next door. He's never going to finish that project. He's just going to be there for the rest of my life.
He lives there.
But he's wonderful and he's so nice to me. And my packages get delivered to that house all the time because the entrance to my house is on the side of the street. Yeah. It's a whole thing. So he gets my packages a lot. So he texted me this morning. The funniest text message. I have your package here. The guy couldn't find your place. Probably something leather. Body question.
IDK emoji?
IDK emoji. Probably something leather.
What?
I can throw it over your fence if you want, or I'll hang on to it. I'll see you later. I said leather is very specific.
Right. Immediately I thought dominatrix. Like, is he trying to say, like, come over here and tie me up?
Like, were you fishing around in this bag?
Did he smell it?
Like, did you take your fingers and like wish around in it and be like, what's going on in this
Probably
bag?
something. Who is out here playing, like, guess that fabric?
Probably leather. And I said, leather is very specific. I can grab it in an hour or just toss it over the gate. He said, no worries. Not quite sure why I was thinking you're a leather kind of girl.
What is happening here? Is this the one that was into Demona?
Yes.
Okay.
Not quite sure why I was thinking you're a leather kind of girl. My brain is frazzled today. I'll toss it over the fence.
Are you guys gonna fuck? Like, what is going on?
I don't know.
I'll toss it over.
What,
Were you on the other side waiting?
By the way, it was a wool sweater. So it wasn't even like if you like squished the packaging
It wasn't
together,
like a bag type thing?
It was a bag. But like, that's even more for him. Like you can feel that it's not leather. So you got my package and you were like, in my fantasies, this is leather.
Did you write that back?
No, I just
Are you
didn't
saying that in your
respond.
fantasies you wish it was leather? Just start flirting with him. What's going to happen? Why aren't you into it?
He's a little too old for me.
Okay.
I like him a lot. And he did sort of ask me out the last time I was there.
What would be the harm in getting a drink?
There wouldn't.
I just think it's good for the story. we're on tour. Because, like, this has been since day one of you moving here, you and this contractor. Like, this is a rom-com in the making.
So for you guys, the last March, 2 Marches ago, I moved in here and they start construction the day Ashley and I finished building the studio. The day.
Yeah.
And they are excavating the entire ground. It is so much noise. I'm beside myself. I'm hysterical. I'm like, how long is this going to last? So I asked the owner of my house for the phone number of the owner next door. He gives me the contractor's number. So I'm on the phone with this guy crying.
Yes. You cried to him and he told you comfortability wasn't a word.
Yes.
This is your man, and I'm sorry. And I still haven't seen him. It feels like a secret
he's
person.
handsome.
It feels like you're imaginary.
Feels like you're fake
You're
friends.
imaginary.
He's shorter. He's like 5'7", 5'8", maybe. But he's handsome.
Yeah.
He's got gray hair. I really like talking to him. Every time I go over there, I really like talking to him.
You just keep saying all these great things.
He's too short for me. And he's too old for me. You can't be both. You can be one, but you can't be both. I promised Amy Chan, who has been on our show, and she's going to do a little dating coaching for me. And she made me promise that I would raise my age limit on my dating apps and lower my height limit. And I said, you can have one.
Okay.
That's fair.
This is like the hot crazy matrix.
That's fair. Okay. I can't be dating 50-year-olds that are 5'5". I can't do it.
I bet they can dick you down, and they're going to be great partners.
Because they're already down there.
They're really worn out.
I don't want somebody who's worn out. I can't do both. I can't do short and old.
You do when someone's worn out. You're a yapper girlfriend, and you need an old, tired listener boyfriend that can still fuck and make fun of you and is into leather.
He just got a package in my. I was like, in my fantasies, it's leather because I was like, oh, it's the vibrators or something. Great.
I thought you were going to say
Vibes
something
Only
about
box.
vibrators.
No, those come here somehow.
He's like, it's weirdly vibrating. I'll throw it over the fence.
He's like, this one's probably not leather. So
Like, can you bring that one in actually and come up to my bedroom? Just say that next time.
Just
Why
come
don't
up.
why don't you be like, the door's unlocked? Can you bring it in? I'm on the 3rd floor. Rayna, you have so many openings. Okay, so Amy is also making you go on a bunch of dates. And this is an easy one to just book.
I don't want to. He's old and short. And by the way, 50 is not old. It's just a lot older than me.
Oh, it's not that much older.
It's a lot older. Yes, it is. Okay. I'm not as old as you, Ashley. It's a lot older. I haven't broken 40 yet. Okay. It's a lot older. 50 is a lot older than me.
Wait till this bitch breaks 40. I'm never going to forget it. I'm still going to be older than her, but I don't care.
You'll still be older.
I remember this one time I met this girl and we kind of were sort of friends. I don't know. We've lost touch, but I went to meet her on her birthday, and her birthday was July 10th. This was a girl I was doing like a Hamptons house with way back in the day. And I hadn't really met her, but I was doing the house. So I was like, I'll go to her little birthday bar thing in New York City. And her birthday was July 10th and mine's July 9th and same year. And as we're walking away at the end of the night, we say goodbye. So great to meet you. Can't wait for the Hamptons. She goes, remember, I'll always be younger than you, bitch. I was like, one day. I was the funniest mic drop.
Yeah.
I loved it.
And that's the ending to this conversation too. Tessa, is your dad even 50? How old are your parents?
They are 52.
52.
That is so young. Okay, so today we have Kelly Coyne on. And she's so wonderful. And I just have to say that before we recorded, she was like, I haven't done a podcast before and I'm an academic and I can tend to ramble. And I was a little like, oh my God, here we go. And she was so wonderful.
I like the way she said it. She said, in academia, you're rewarded for that.
For being long-winded,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so there was a funny callback to it as I was editing the interview that you're probably like, where did that come from? Like, are you making fun of long-winded professors? Maybe. No, I'm just kidding.
Just Andrew
But
Huberman.
Some
Some people need to learn when to shut up.
Yeah, why am I protecting Andrew Huberman? No, he's so long-winded, it's crazy. We couldn't get a word in when we had him on this podcast.
That was crazy.
But she was so wonderful. She's so tight. I mean, the interview's amazing. We're really excited for you guys to hear it. But this, something we wanted to talk about that kind of correlates is this article that kind of went viral in August. And we're reading the headline from People. And it says, girlfriend who refuses to share bathroom with boyfriend in the morning sparks debate. So basically, she's shared on a Reddit, Am I the Asshole? And she said her and her boyfriend moved into a 1-bedroom flat last month. They share a single bathroom. And she just basically says she doesn't want him in the bathroom. She says he started coming in the bathroom when I'm in there and I'm using it. She said they both leave early in the morning and she was left feeling uneasy after her partner expressed that sharing the bathroom is not that weird. And she said, this is also my first long-term relationship, so I don't know if this is normal and I'm just making a big deal about it, but the flat is tiny. I just want some space. I feel like we're on top of each other. And so there's comments that debate it, but I mean, I have mixed feelings on it, but she's like, I just want a little privacy to like do my makeup probably. You know, like I just want to get ready. And what I'm assuming is a tiny bathroom, probably without a double sink. To me, it's about the double sink of it all. Do you have a double sink or not? If not, like, how are we even in here together anyway?
Also, are we in a rush? Like,
Probably, maybe. I don't know. Who knows?
I'm confused about, like, is she talking she doesn't want to brush her teeth in the same sink as somebody, or she doesn't want somebody going to the bathroom while she's doing her makeup, or she doesn't want to do her makeup in front of somebody? Like, I'm wondering, like, at which point of this, or is she just like, all of this I would just like to do by myself on my own time?
Yeah. And this comes up in the interview today. A lot of this is about literal space. Is there space? Are you in my fucking shit and annoying me, like spitting out your toothpaste over my shoulder? You know, like, am I trying to do my contour and you're in here trying to brush your teeth? I mean, we're just too cramped now. Can I just have a moment?
You said this went viral. There's people saying that, like, what, she's being unreasonable?
Someone was just like, this is what you do in a relationship, you know? And someone was just like, my hubby and I have been together almost 30 years. First of all, when people say hubby, I can't. And the only time there is no sharing is when we're pooping. I mean, this is just, I think, a matter of like, her expressing her boundaries and just like, listen, sometimes I just want to do my makeup on my own or brush my teeth on my own. And he should be like, I get it. And maybe we can compromise and work this out. And then every once in a while, they might have to be in there together if they're in a rush, and that's okay. And she can't freak out when this happens once a month or something, you know, because that's what happens in relationships. You can't always just...
Sure.
Things aren't always perfect 100% of the time.
I mean, it never even like crossed my mind to share a bathroom with somebody. I've lived with 3 men. It has never crossed my mind because I've never had a bathroom that was big enough. Like, I've lived in New York City my whole life. I've never had a bathroom where I couldn't be sitting on the toilet, touching the sink and the shower at the same time. Like, there's no space. There's barely room for a second person, let alone like you're crouching over me. I don't need it. I've never experienced it. It never crossed my mind that there could be 2 people in the bathroom at the same time, unless we're in some crazy rush. Also, you could go brush your teeth in the sink in the kitchen.
Yeah, the kitchen. I mean, do you have a double sink or not? That's what it's about. Like, I had to share a bathroom with my brother growing up. We didn't have a big house, but by the grace of God, we had a double sink. I can't really imagine how that would have gone. That would have been a traumatic childhood. Like, we each had our little sink at least, you know, to like be in the mornings getting ready. I mean, and I have one now. Like, I guess in my New York City bathroom, again, just still one sink, but it was pretty spacious. Remember that weird big bathroom? So I could see a world in which I'm in there doing my makeup and he comes in, he wants to gel his hair or something like that. But for the most part, like a tiny cramped space, like, yeah, can I just be in here alone for a minute? I get it.
I don't know. I would never, it's so funny. It's just, it would never cross my mind to share the space with somebody. Like, there's certain scenarios. Yes, you have a long countertop and you guys are both getting ready to go out to dinner and like you're both doing your hair.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know. You don't need to be in here while I'm blowing my hair dry. Can't I just like put my makeup on, come out of the bathroom and you go like, wow, you look amazing. I don't need you to watch it all come together.
Yes. I wonder if she ever wants to shower with him though. Because, you know, I like to shower with my partner. Like, I wonder if she's like hard limit, stay out. Because then you don't ever get any sexy come in the shower moments.
Yeah.
But maybe that's excluded from what she's talking about.
I mean, also of all my apartments, I never really had a shower I could share. I mean, the longest I lived with somebody was 4 years, and it was one of those showers that like, It was like one of the stand up, like one person could fit in it. There was no chance he was coming in there with me. Honestly, none of my showers would have really been comfortable for another person.
I'll read you some of these because I found it interesting.
Yeah.
There's a comment, been with my husband. People always like to brag about how long they've been with their husband. I guess it adds to your argument. But anyway, been with my husband for 17 years, have always shared the bathroom. Seriously, if you can't handle this, then I don't know why you would want to be in a relationship. Grow up. And then someone says a more mature thing. If it makes someone uncomfortable, the others should respect it. Divide the time up so each has their own private time in the bathroom, but do only things that need to be done there, because, you don't want to be in there for an hour, I guess. And then someone says, we've been married for 51 years, and the one thing that we do not share is the bathroom. Always one, then the other. Someone says only one at a time. Someone says, I grew up sharing a bathroom. I don't care. Who cares? We all have different privacy needs and expectations. Just communicate.
Yeah, I grew up sharing a bathroom with my brother. He's allowed to look at me with bad breath and looking like shit and crazy hair. I don't need my partner to be around for
I
it.
cannot believe that when I was like a bratty teenager, I had to be in the bathroom with Matt.
I know. Arlen and I, there was only one bathroom in my house. We shared it every morning.
I wish I could have memories of this. Like how my brother was probably scared to come in. Like he was probably like, I don't go in there when Ashley's in there. Like a hormonal teenager.
Yeah, I don't remember how we did it.
Also, what do boys need to do?
Probably nothing.
Yeah, like he wasn't doing anything.
I probably did my hair in my bedroom, and I didn't even know what makeup was. I was ugly back then, so there's no chance. Did you wear makeup in high school?
Yeah.
What'd you wear? Like mascara, eyeliner?
You don't wear makeup in high school?
I don't think so.
Foundation?
I really do not think I did. I think I was just raw dog in life.
What? No makeup in high school?
I had like F-size boobs. I don't think anybody looked at my face for 4 years.
Definitely, I've always done, and it's not that I even wear that much makeup now, foundation, probably a little under eye concealer, a little blush, and a little mascara. Obviously, I wasn't doing anything with my brows. Oh, I did do some eyeliner. I would like a blue. You remember like a blue eyeliner? For dances?
Probably for prom.
You definitely wore makeup to prom.
But I got my makeup done for those things.
Oh, I didn't do that. I wasn't rich like that.
No, I went to Ulta. And I was like, I'll buy this blush if you do my
We
makeup.
didn't have an Ulta.
I was rich like that. Yeah, I don't think I ever wore makeup. Not because I thought I was like too pretty to wear makeup. I just didn't know how ugly I was. That's what it was.
I wasn't like addicted. I didn't have to have it on, but I definitely wore makeup in high school. I was super into it. I feel like that's when you start getting so into it.
No, I wish I was. I wish I would have. Wasn't part of my experience.
All right. Well, anyway, that's the bathroom conversation, kind of leads us into our talk today. But before that, we're just going to talk about a few partners. I am telling you about Hungry Root. Okay, it has never been more important while we're touring because I just don't have time to be like going to the grocery store and meal planning and all that kind of thing. So this really takes the guesswork out of that with the meal planning, the grocery shopping, and the cooking. I mean, it can take time. It can be a hassle, but Hungry Root makes it possible to spend less time doing all of that and more time doing what we love. So they've just really like eased that mental load for me, made me feel less overwhelmed. So I just pick what I want in my box and I find some recipes and then they send you everything to make these amazing recipes. I've made everything from like pasta dishes, even just some salads, tacos. I love tacos. And the meats are really good. The veggies are really good. And then they send snacks too and some like sweet treats. And they have ready to eat meals too. If you're like, I don't want to cook at all, they'll send you ready to eat. They have kids snacks and meals. They have vitamins and supplements and so much more. So everything from Hungry Root follows a simple standard. It's got to taste good, be quick to make, and contain whole trusted ingredients. I mean, I know there's a lot of companies out there that just don't really take the quality that seriously. And I just have always really found the quality to be good with all of their stuff. So we can't recommend it enough. You get on there and they ask you a bunch of questions about yourself and they'll personalize the box for you. And of course, you decide what goes in it, but they really try to understand your like wants and needs. And it's just a really great service. We love it. So right now, Hungry Root is offering Girls Gotta Eat listeners 40% off your first delivery and free veggies for life. Just go to hungryroot.com/GGE to get 40% off your first delivery and get your free veggies. That's hungryroot.com/GGE. Don't forget to use our link so they know we sent you.
All right. And it's finally fall. It's time for like cozy bedding. I would live in my bed. It's like all I'm trying to do. And you can build the coziest bed imaginable with Boll & Branch bedding. They make the finest 100% organic cotton. So like just at the end of the day in the fall, I just want to like watch a movie in my bed. I bring like a big glass of wine up there and that's it. I don't go back downstairs for the rest of the night. So I want to just be like super, super comfy. And Boll & Branch's best-selling signature sheets, they come in so many colors and patterns. You can kind of like switch the vibe up in your room. I also think this is a way to just like redecorate the vibe of your bedroom without having to like spend a bunch of money. Just like new colors, new patterns. The sheets feel buttery, breathable, get softer with every wash. And these sheets are the perfect foundation for a better sleep. I like to sleep naked. They feel great on my body. and you can easily add all kinds of things. So Boll and Branch has bed blankets, duvets, they have quilts without making your bed feel heavy or hot, and just really redesign that room and get all cozy this fall, you guys. It feels great, like I said, on my skin. Every time I wash it, it's better. Sleep naked, get all cozy in your bed, you guys. Boll and Branch sheets are loved by millions of sleepers. Boll and Branch offers free design consultations so you can build your dreamiest bed with a dedicated stylist. I've never heard of this in my life. Best of all, Boll and Branch gives you a 30-night worry-free guarantee with free shipping and returns on all U.S. orders of $100 or more. Start getting your best night's sleep this fall with Boll and Branch. For a limited time, get 20% off plus free shipping on your first set of sheets at bollandbranch.com/GGE. That's Boll and Branch, BOLLAND branch.com/GGE for 20% off and free shipping. Exclusions apply. See site for details.
All right, let's get into it with Kelley.
All right, guys, we're really excited to welcome our guest today. She is the faculty at Georgetown. She has a PhD in cultural studies from Northwestern. Her work has been featured in the New York Times, the Washington Post, New York Magazine, NPR, Good Morning America. She came to us as a listener of the show. We're very happy to have her here. Please welcome to the show, Kelly Marie Coyne.
Thank you both so much for having me. I'm very, very honored. And it's so cool to meet you two in person.
Yeah, we love it. You sent us the great pitch. I mean, plenty of listeners have pitched us and they're like, I'd love to come on your show. I love it, just shooting their shot. But I kind of thought it was another one of those. And then I read it and I was like, oh, this speaks to my soul.
And she's published in the New York Times and the Washington Post. You sent us links to some really heavy hitter articles that you had published. And they were so interesting because what you sent us was about alternative lifestyles, essentially, with your partner, whether it's not living together or the father being the main parent in the home.
Stay-at-home dads.
Yes, that's what it is. And not living together or not sleeping in the same beds. And it was a great pitch and great information.
Well, the main part you said was that I inspired you. So we'd love to talk about that. I'm kidding.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, when you were talking about how I don't think I ever want to sleep in the same room with your partner.
I mean, I've walked that back, I guess.
You guess.
Well, the idea and people are actually doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's talk about your background.
Okay.
What kind of cultural studies do you do? What made you sort of research this topic?
So I did my master's in English. So my background is really in books, and I look a lot at genre, which is like the horror genre or the gothic genre. And genre is all about satisfying the expectations of your audience. And then you can bring, literature genres into television and film genres. So for instance, the horror movies come from the gothic genre, which is a book genre. And then I ended up doing my PhD in media and cultural studies. And something that I found really fascinating when I started talking to people, previously I was just doing criticism, like book and movie criticism, was that life also has certain conventions, and there are ways that, I think that we prescribe a certain life path for women in this country. And if you think about that as a genre, I think it's just fascinating. Are there opportunities for our lives that we can't even see because we don't have examples of other lives?
Oh my gosh. I didn't think of that as parts of our lives being a genre. We think of music and we think of books and we think of TV. And
you are a trope. I am a trope.
We're all a trope. Yeah.
Well, first comes love, then comes marriage, then comes babies. That is a genre.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
And so it doesn't have to be that way.
Yeah.
It used to be the case that when people lived outside of that prescription, there was a lot of shame or something was wrong or it was broken. But now people are breaking the prescription by choice. And I just think that's fascinating.
Absolutely. I mean, we love these articles and we pulled our audience, and we'll get into would you sleep in separate bedrooms with your partner and would you live in separate homes? But so much came up about safety, the cost of living, division of chores. When do you have sex? When do you spend time together? Who does the household things, raising children, all of that. Yeah. So there's so many factors that go into it. And everybody has a very different idea of what they would do. And it seems like also at different life stages and different ages, this changes.
Yep.
Did me talking about this really inspire you to look into this more? I mean, we were joking about it, but I mean, thank you. That's an honor. It's interesting because I spoke about these things when I was single, and I still stand by the concerns of being a super independent person and then living with somebody. And I will end up living with my partner, I'm assuming, here in LA. And then who knows after that. But he's an easy person to sleep with. I think if he was a crazy snorer or something like that, it wouldn't work. I think sleep is very important. My parents sleep separately, a lot of it because my dad just snores so loud. I mean, it would like wake us kids up when we were kids. And they're happy, but they're married, 40 plus years. And we'll talk a lot about it, but I think a lot about the space. I think a lot about the home. I don't know if these are things people consider. I would not live with him in a 1-bedroom, 1-bath apartment. I wouldn't do it. I think it would be bad for the relationship. And sometimes I wonder how much people take that into account. Like square footage matters, bathrooms matter, size of beds, closets. Like those are the little things that start to annoy you about your partner and take away some of the sexiness of it all when you're just on top of each other. And so when I think about living with him, I picture the home, I picture the space, I picture us having our own space. And that's also not everyone's luxury. We want to recognize that everyone's like, yeah, well, I can't live in a big home, or, I want to live with my partner. We can't afford to live in different homes, so I just want to say that up top.
Yeah.
I'm rambling now. I'm the academic in the room. We were talking about, I just want to say a lot of these things up top because people have heard me say these things, and we say all the time, you can change your mind.
Yeah.
It's not that you're a hypocrite or you're contradicting yourself. It's just that people come into your life and it changes kind of the way you think about things.
I want to find when I told you that. I feel like on the podcast I've said you're speaking about a hypothetical partner when you find somebody you might want to be with them all the time. Because I lived in 3 New York City. I lived in 3 tiny New York City apartments with men. All of a studio one time.
Yep.
I lived in a bedroom, but it had a double-sized bed with my boyfriend for like 4 years. I lived in my last apartment with my ex also.
You lived with him for 4 years in that apartment?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I mean, I lived with boyfriends and I mean,
long though.
What a luxury to be able to say, I don't want to live with my partner. What a luxury financially to say, I want 2 separate bedrooms.
Yep.
I want extra. I mean, you're talking about the 1% of the world that could afford something like not living with a partner. Not the 1%, but
or like a double primary suite. I always said that. I went to this one house one time. We rented it for a bachelorette party, and it was the first time I'd ever seen 2 identical primary suites. Identical, same size. I was like, whatever they got going on is like a dream of mine. It's unlocked. A genre I hadn't thought about.
Well, the other thing is queer communities and Black communities have been living this way forever, and we never recognize that. Like, Black communities and Black families, the Black nuclear family has been torn apart since the days of slavery. And so we can look to those 2 communities for examples of these living arrangements. Like queer communities, you would get kicked out of your house and you would have to go live with your friend for a bit. Or like there's this new thing called the mommune, where women who have been left by their husbands move in together to share the cost living expenses and raise their children together. Like there are ways to temper the costs and make this affordable, but it can be really hard to see those because they've been so kind of obscured oftentimes by shame and like this is not the way you're supposed to live. And people live with their grandparents, but we don't talk about that. People live with their aunts and uncles. You can live with a cousin, you can live with your sister, and you can still be married to someone who lives, maybe with his brother. Like there are so many options out there. And people have been doing this for a long time, but it's only recently that it's starting to be recognized in mainstream media as actually aspirational.
So I'm glad that you brought up the stigma around it, because I think that, and you talk about in your article, is that separate bedrooms or homes is sometimes used as a euphemism for a failing marriage or a failing relationship. And a lot of our audience doesn't see it like that. A lot of people don't see it like that. That psychologically it's better for them to live separately or sleep separately. Obviously, they get a better night's sleep, things like that.
Yep.
So can we talk a little bit about the stigma around it?
Yeah. I mean, I always think of that line from Mean Girls when I think one of them, Gretchen, is like, I mean, her parents totally don't sleep in the same bed anymore, if you know what I mean. Like, it's always been this, like, something is wrong in that house. Like, this is how we know the truth of their relationship, which is they hate each other. And the stigma really seems to be pervading the older generations. So I know someone who's in her 40s and her parents just think that sleeping apart from her husband is like the death knell to their marriage. Where Gen Zers that I talk to, it's a totally different thing. And I think, honestly, part of this is like queerness has become so much more mainstream that Gen Zs are kind of looking out for stigma, and they often push against it in ways that the older generations haven't.
I like that you said, I think the quote that I wrote down was that Gen Z and millennial members tend to see these subjects as a negotiation in a relationship, whether it's parenting, finances, or work, that they're more willing to sort of have these conversations. It's not a foregone conclusion that everybody will live together and sleep together all the time.
Yep.
So let's talk about, to start, not sleeping together. I mean, you have chosen to live together with a partner, but you have separate bedrooms, and you wrote an article about this. There's a New York Times and a Washington Post one, and we're going to talk about them together but separately. But I think, was it the Washington Post?
Sleeping apart was Washington Post.
So what did you find? And what do the sleep experts say?
Yeah.
And let's talk about the sleeping separately of it all.
This is so under-researched.
Okay.
It was very difficult to find, like for the Living Apart article, I could pull on Census Bureau data. We have that data. But this is very understudied. And we do have a survey that was conducted in 2021 that says only 2/3 of Americans want to share a bed with their romantic partner. You know, it's kind of stunning, like how many people actually don't want to do this.
Totally.
And sleep experts, the ones that I spoke to were like, I have no concerns about this. The relationship experts I spoke to had no concerns. The people that did seem to have concerns were sex therapists and couples therapists.
Okay.
But the actual like neuroscientists were like, no, better sleep leads to better sex, better intimacy.
Better life, better, happier life.
Yeah,
better,
exactly. Yeah. And so experts say that, you know, they can track that there are a lot of people who sleep better when they're alone. Women actually tend to reap the benefits of sleeping separately from their partner more than men do.
Because men snore more.
There are a few reasons for it. Snoring is one of them, though.
Okay, so what are the other reasons?
There's like stuff with circadian rhythms.
Okay.
And they're less sensitive to, like, if someone else wakes up in a room, there's something called like sleep contagion, where if someone else kind of like comes into the bedroom, they are less likely to be woken up by that, where a woman is more likely.
We love
it like
science.
living free like that?
I can't. My fiance, I've never seen anything like it. It's the thing I'm the most jealous of in the world. He falls asleep immediately.
Yeah.
I'm like, do you not have any anxiety? What happens at night in your head? Immediately. And then he can wake up in the middle of the night, go right back to sleep.
Yeah.
Like sometimes he'll wake up and he'll check my text and I'm like, oh my God, I shouldn't have sent it. I woke him up. No, he goes right back to sleep.
Yep.
No issues.
He's me. I'm like, you'll send me a text message at 10:39
Yes, you guys
and
are
at 10:40 I am out.
Ugh.
But interesting. I'm jealous.
But I see
so
what you're saying.
jealous.
But I see what you're saying is that women actually tend to have, it's a hugely blanketed thing, but for women, it's more anxiety, more stress, more things on their mind. Men, nothing's going on in there.
Sometimes, Rayna, you're still a woman because you've said that you wake up sometimes in the middle of the night, you can't go back to sleep. He can't relate to that once in his life.
Time to me, and I didn't know what to do. I was lost in this world. I didn't know what to do, but I am outside of the norm.
But I want to talk about the sex. Because I said to Rayna yesterday, I said, my least favorite type of sex is get into bed, pajamas on, and then have sex.
Yeah.
It is the least spontaneous. It's the least sexy. We do it. It's great. It's intimate. But that is my least favorite type of sex.
Yeah.
Is ready for bed sex.
Yeah.
So to me, but then Rayna, she made a point. She's like, but I love morning sex, which, you know, you lose a little bit of that. But you creep into his bed in the morning, you slip in there. But to me, I'm like, sex is so far out. Sex and sleep are different. I mean, sleep, you're unconscious. Like there was a quote in your article that was like, what do I care what we do when we're unconscious?
Yeah.
It was I love that quote. So I think it's funny that plays into it. People associate getting in the bed and sleeping with sex. And I don't really. Like one of my favorite things is like you've been out at night, you walk in the door, throw the purse on the floor, you start going at it, you move it to the bedroom. Like that's so far from when we're even getting into bed.
Yeah.
But you're a very new relationship.
That's fair. But like,
and you don't have children.
I want to preserve this stuff.
Yeah.
True. We don't have children.
So like people,
children is a whole
you don't
other
have children.
talk
So like,
about.
I do understand people saying where do we have sex? There's kids all over the fucking house. So what did you find? Also, what did sex therapists say? I'm very
let's talk about
curious.
this.
The thing with both of these stories is that I think it's a little self-selecting who wants to talk to me. Like the people who want to talk to me about these living arrangements, like are very happy in
loud
their
and proud.
relationships. Yeah, exactly.
Totally.
So I'm hearing from people who are very, very happy.
Totally.
And often it's the women who want to talk to me. And I find that women are the ones who are often initiating these kinds of arrangements.
Yeah,
but
men care.
yeah. But in terms of sex, I mean, my editor had to cut a quote from the Post article because she was like, the source sounds like she's bragging about her sex life a little bit. Like, it was so intense, the stuff she was telling me. She was like, if we have a few hours off, like, we go right at it. Like, we know that if one of us gets the day off, like, it's going to happen sometime that day. Like, and she was going on and on about how good their sex life is, because it sounded like they were a couple where they don't really like let's get on our pajamas and then let's have sex.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And something else that I found is that often, like, the men's rooms are not as clean as a woman's rooms. And it's like a turnoff for the woman to have to like have sex in a bedroom where it's not like perfectly, to her preferences.
Yes.
You interviewed somebody, and I liked in the article that you said that they often have sex in her bedroom if they have sex in one of the two.
Well, and this isn't even like women necessarily being like, ew, you're so gross. I mean, that can be part of it. But we talked about this with Emily Morse. Like, we are just so much more easily distracted by what's going on in the room.
Yes.
There's like a pile of laundry over here. Like, these things matter to us in terms of our libido and what is able to take us, outside of our head and get inside of our body. And so those things do matter. Those distractions matter.
Yep.
Well, what did a sex therapist say as it being not a good thing to separate your bedrooms?
Yeah. There was another Times article that was talking about, it was really talking to sex therapists about it. And I was kind of stunned to read how many of them were like, this is not good, even though the science is backing up that this is good for intimacy, this is good for health and sleep quality, as long as the couple is on the same page about it. Like, you don't want to push someone into this who doesn't want to do it, because that's just going to cause resentment. But the sex therapists who had concerns were saying that perhaps there's something about checking in with your partner at the end of the night, and not having that opportunity might kind of preclude sex from happening.
Okay. I can really see that happen. You have children, you come home, the focus is homework, make dinner for everybody. When do you really have time together apart from your children, unless you're in your own bedroom? So I understand that just being like another barrier to being together.
Yeah.
Well, I'm curious in your research, or if you've talked to people, that this doesn't have to be every night. I don't know. To me, I'm kind of like, sometimes we do fall asleep together.
Yes.
And then for me, it would be probably a matter of I'm always going to go to bed a little later.
Yep.
Or whatever you have going on. I mean, couples have different schedules, of course.
Yep.
So when I'm going to bed after him, I sleep in my bedroom, or vice versa.
Yeah.
He doesn't wake me up. But if I were to do this, which I don't know what the future holds for me because I sleep with him right now, I'm sure it would be a mixed bag.
Yeah.
If we were, I don't see a world in which every night I wouldn't sleep with him. We don't have any super glaring issue like a snoring situation. So I'm sure some couples do both. I don't know. You tell me.
I was so grateful because I spoke to a couples therapist who was she was the one who was most concerned about this. And she was like, but it's not one size fits all. Like, you can share a bedroom on the weekends and you can,
spicy weekends.
Exactly, share the bedroom on the weekends and split up during the week. But something that I also found like really interesting anecdotally is I was at IKEA looking at like couches, and there was a couple there looking at pull-out couches, and they said, oh, we're looking for pull-out couches so that, my husband can have his own place, and it's for work. Like, the reason he needs his own place to sleep is because of his job. He has really crazy shifts. Sure. And I found that Americans often, like, we have this tendency to justify non-normativity by invoking work rather than like, oh, this is just my preference.
Totally. Well, they have to defend these decisions that are a little outside the norm.
Yeah.
It feels like you have to defend yourself as though you are cold, as though you're immovable, you're really rigid. Where, I mean, I am somebody that everything wakes me up in the room. I can go right back to sleep. But if you're moving around in bed, you go to the bathroom, it will wake me up.
Yeah.
I'm always ready for a break-in. So I'm just like, I stay alert. But I need 8 hours of sleep. Like, if you see me after 7 hours, like, I'm not good. And if you are in and out, if your job wakes me up, it would be tough for me to live with somebody. I've lived with 3 boyfriends. I've always lived in the same bed as them, of course. And I dealt with it. But I didn't have the option then.
Yeah.
So I don't know what I would do today. If you're rooting around late at night, you're doing stuff, you're coming to bed at 4, or you're leaving at, I don't know, 6 a.m.
Yeah.
Like, I gotta like deal with you, turn the lights on, look at the clothing.
Right. And that's the thing too, the getting up, like shuffling around in the dark, getting ready. Like, I don't want you to have to do that. If you're my partner, it's just like, so certain times it's just like, go in your room, be in your own closet. Cause I'm never sharing a closet. I can't imagine. That's the closets and bathrooms feel so
bathrooms.
sacred, if anything.
I wonder how this changes throughout age and life stage. Cause at the beginning of a relationship, it's inconceivable to not go to sleep, cuddled up to the person, even if you roll away from each other. Like an ex of mine and I, for 4 years, like, we wouldn't sleep on top of each other, but like we would have like a body part touching at all times. Like my butt would be touching his thigh. Like at all, you just want to know that like their presence is there.
Yeah. And I really love waking up with him. This is not something I'm interested in right now. I mean, we'll see what happens in our relationship. I could walk all this back. I mean, I found the love of my life. Things change. Yeah. So I really love waking up with him. I love seeing him there. You know, this sounds so corny, but like if I have a bad dream, I like when I wake up and he's there. So I'm in my soft girl era, but it's just, we'll see. Yeah. And that's the thing too. Like we always say this, Rayna and I can't stress enough. Like you can change your mind.
Yeah. Yep.
Like people change their mind all the time. Things change. Circumstances change.
So Ashley and I both, I mean, all of our parents, my dad, my mom, and her parents sleep in separate bedrooms and have for a long time and started that after we moved out, all of us. So my stepdad, I think as soon as I went to college, started like sleeping in my bedroom sometimes because he snores and it's just tough for them to like stay in the same bedroom. Ashley's parents have separate bedrooms, my dad and his ex-wife. Do you see this as like a phase of life thing? Did that come up at all?
The reasons people are entering into the arrangement differ by age, I found.
And I mean sleeping in separate bedrooms, not separate homes.
Yeah. Like I did not hear many young women talking about their male partner snoring, where all of the women above a certain age were saying it's because my husband sounds like a truck. Like one woman I interviewed said that her neighbor, which I was stunned, her neighbors could hear his snoring from outside of the house. And it was a joke in the neighborhood. The kids knew, but it was this whole thing.
That's crazy. He needs to get checked out.
I mean, in they talk about how the CPAP machine is like very unattractive to them, which I get.
No, I don't want to see that.
It's scary. And
your mom's getting the ick after like she's been married to your dad for 40 years. She's like, he gave me the ick. That's CPAP.
Yeah.
I mean, some people sleep with like a face mask and a retainer and you're like, I'm not trying to wake up and have somebody see this.
No, tape your mouth shut.
No.
Yeah.
But I really was blown away by the responses from people because people are very polarized in this. Like somebody said, what are they, sexless roommates? And somebody else said, I'm 56. Wait till you're 56. I love it. You know, like it's very, very polarizing. People said, I love to cuddle. Like, how would I do that with them not being here? Other people are like, you do what you got to do. People really have
like this.
A lot
practical, saves marriages. Yeah, this comes from our audience, by the way. We're just reading some of their responses. Someone said, would love the option some nights. Some nights I just want to be alone and rot. There's that too. Like some nights you just want to be like ugly and rotting.
Yep, exactly. And not thinking about it.
That is so true. Sometimes I wake up so ugly. I send Ashley pictures. And I'm like, what if a man saw this?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Well, yeah. And that was something I found with the Living Apart Together article is there's this like amazing, I saw a TikTok where it was like a girl like on a Friday night not knowing that her boyfriend was coming in and she's like on the couch with like her like acne cream all over her face, like plate right here, all of that. And like sometimes to not have that gaze on you, like this like imaginary like, do I look acceptable right now to my partner? It's freeing, Right. But then it's more fun when you get to put it back on for him if you want to.
Right.
Okay, well, so you mentioned living apart together. Yeah. So let's transition into this. I mean,
to living apart.
Being together. What is it?
So yeah, it's called living apart together. Good.
Living apart together.
That's what sociologists call it.
In separate
LAT.
bedrooms. That's what
LAT. Lats. Okay. Is that a thing?
Lats, yeah.
Yeah. Lats like wags.
Yeah.
So you wrote this article in the New York Times about this, inspired by me. I'm just kidding.
Actually.
And now I'm like, look at her. She changed her tune. We would just want to talk about this. I mean, this is big. I mean, I've read some articles about couples that have done this, and we want to talk about the couples that you talked about in your article, but let's kind of give an overarching, what have you found?
So the percentage of married Americans doing this is still quite small.
Totally.
But it's between 2000 and 2019, I think, it's risen 25%.
Oh
That's a huge jump.
Yeah. So it's in the millions now. And I think that there was a big jump after COVID. And I think that like so many other things, you talk about differences in privilege and things like that really became very clear over COVID. And women, I think, were like, oh my God, I never have time off and I need my own space to just like be able to enjoy myself on my own without my husband, my children.
So you focused on the subset, to be clear, of people that had once lived together and chose to then live apart.
Yes,
so it's not people that have made the decision, we've never moved in together, we're married, we live down the street from each other. I think that that's sometimes a little easier than the conversation of like, we do live together.
Yeah.
Now let's split. Because a lot of people will see this as the deterioration of a relationship or exacerbating the deterioration of a relationship.
Yep.
So you saw after COVID that a lot of people sort of felt like the brunt of the labor women.
Yep.
The brunt of the labor falls on me, the
Yep.
housework, the child rearing, and like, when do I get a break?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I loved the one woman you focused on, or the one couple. Basically, their story was they were living together in a smaller, just, by nature of New York City apartment.
Yeah.
And she just felt like she lost herself. They were in a heterosexual relationship. Ms. Akand, is that her name? Were they married?
Akand.
Akand?
Yeah, they're married.
They're married. Okay. So they got separate places, or she moved out, and spoiler alert, they came back together, and they actually moved to California, where they have some more square footage.
Yep.
Like I mentioned earlier, that matters. But I love this one quote, and it says, living in her own apartment gave Ms. Akand a chance to reconnect with herself. When I wasn't with him 24/7, it truly was out of sight, out of mind. Like I wasn't worried. Is he eating? Is he okay? He's in his own house. That's his responsibility. She spent more time with girlfriends and focused on her work. Her career took off, and she got her first book deal. While living apart, Ms. Akand says she could fulfill my cup in more ways.
Yeah.
And I love that success story. I'm sure they're more like it, because like Rayna said, people are like, oh, this is a death wish. Like this relationship's over. This is like the last straw before you break up. It's like when people just start to be in open relationships and then they break up, which I know that works for people too.
No, I actually love that you brought that up, because
Yeah.
therapists will say that the time to open a relationship up is when the relationship is at its best, at its peak, not as a band-aid to maybe this will make it better, which is exactly what you said. Like if you move apart when it's already deteriorating, that may just be the death nail.
Okay,
Yeah.
true, which I'm sure happens too. But I like these stories of like that their relationship was fine, as she just felt like she lost herself. And I mean, I don't know. I mean, again, that's the whole thing. You're in a small space. You're on top of each other. It's kind of natural to develop this sort of codependency, I guess. So I just love that story.
Yeah. And I mean, I really admired her story also, because I think that if you're not careful, and I'm in my 30s, but marriage can shrink your life. And I feel like this is a thing. Maybe it's, growing up with my parents who both have very strong groups of friends on their own. And my mom travels frequently with her girlfriends rather than my dad. And my dad's off with my uncles. Like if you're not careful, like it's easy to really turn inward and like separate yourself from your community. And I mean, I'm not a marriage therapist, but I would think that, having ways to fill your cup outside of the marriage is good for the marriage. And so I thought it was very cool kind of how she saw that happening to her. And for her, the solution was LAT.
I think it's really brave. I don't think that this is easy. I think it's easier to, for a very long time, live apart. But to say to somebody, I think I've lost myself in this relationship and I'd like to be in this relationship, but apart. Like, how could somebody not take offense to it? If somebody I was so in love with that lived with me was like, I want to stay together, I just don't want to live with you. I mean, it would hurt so badly. And I think the other person is almost saying like, this isn't about you at all. This is just about me and what being in a relationship has done to me. And I think we can have a better, more intimate relationship living apart. But it's really painful and frightening to say that to somebody. And I'm sure people wrestle with this for years before they bring it up.
It's so interesting. The people I spoke to, and I didn't ask them specifically about bringing it up, like whether they were anxious, but that it really didn't come up. And the men, especially, it was mostly in heterosexual relationships. It was mostly the woman who was initiating this. And I spoke to they were the ones who wanted to talk to me. And I spoke to the husbands. I felt like it was important to do. And they were just so they were so in love with their partner, and they understood that their partner was in love with them as well.
Okay.
And so I was really impressed by kind of the steadiness of the men.
Yeah. And again, there could be a world in which this is your excuse for wanting to slowly break up.
Yeah.
But that's not the case of the people you spoke to. I mean, I did express my concerns to my fiance about this. I mean, I was nervous about bringing it up to him because I just couldn't stress enough. This has nothing to do with you or our relationship. If anything, I just want to preserve what we have. I am a little hesitant about going from long distance to living together. I've always said that on this podcast.
Yeah.
It feels like there's a step in between there. And I expressed that to him of like, this is the way I've always felt. Like have changed in this relationship, but I'm still the same Ashley that I was, and my independence matters, and what we have is so wonderful, and I don't want to move too fast. And, I think it's all the things. Rayna and I just know too much. We have too much information. We hear about too many couples that lose the spice and lose the spontaneity because they're just together all the time. And I think the good thing is we have all that information enough to prevent it and, keep the spark alive and all that kind of stuff. And I'm certainly not worried about that in my relationship, but I expressed my concerns, and he was like, if this is a big deal and I move to LA, I'll get an apartment for a little bit. He didn't take it personally. I think it stung a little because he doesn't have the same concerns. He was like, I love you. I want to live with you. I want to be with you all the time. And but I was like, I'm struggling with this a little bit. And he was like, well, then we won't do it. He knew it has nothing to do with my love or my commitment.
Yep.
And I've thought about it a lot, and I don't know exactly when this will happen, but I feel confident in wanting to live with him in the house that I'm in now. So I have come to that conclusion, and obviously we're engaged now, but I think I've talked to it with a lot of people. I express this concern to couples that I really look up to that are married. And, I just want to validate that it's a valid concern.
Yeah.
And relationships where people really are secure and healthy know that it has nothing to do with loving you any less.
Yes. Yeah.
I really like my independence. And I really struggled in my most recent relationship where we lived together. He would be there in the morning. I mean, a lot of people are working from home now, post-COVID, of course. He'd be there in the morning when I would leave, and I'd walk down the street to our studio, and I'd spend a few hours there. And then I'd go home, and he was just there. And he was clean and polite and wonderful to live with. And we had a great sex life. But I just didn't want you in my space 24 hours a day when I was also in the space. We socialized together. We would like to go out with friends. But I never, ever got to be in my home alone without him because he worked there. And that's not his fault.
Yeah.
But it really was, one of the death nails of the relationship. I just couldn't do it.
Yeah.
And I know that a lot of people don't have that luxury. And my previous relationship, I loved coming home to him for 4 years. I was just so amped to be with him all the time, wake up in the same room with him. But at different stages of my life, I've wanted more alone time, I guess.
It was really interesting to look at the comments on that article and see order by most read, because I think it was the first or second was written by a woman, and she said I love my husband, but I would never get married again. I feel like marriage is a service to men and it diminishes women.
Isn't that what studies show? It's great for men and not great for women.
And other women were chiming in and commenting on the fact that, it's really interesting that it seems like the women are initiating this. And, I think there are ways to make marriage more egalitarian, but some of these prescriptions are not really in service of us, as especially if you're in a heterosexual relationship. And more is coming out about older women. And there was just a Wall Street Journal article about older women who say, I never want to marry again. I want to date and have fun, but I'm not going to live with a partner. A phrase they use often is nurse with a purse. They feel like men are looking for a nurse or a purse or both. So someone to care for them or someone to pay for them.
You both said something kind of differently, but it's the same thing. You were well, wouldn't men care if they live with a woman? And you were a lot of marriages are in service to men, and it is the same thing. A lot of men, what do they care? Because they're at home. Somebody cleans up after them and cooks for them and does the shopping. And I don't think all men are helpless. Lots of men shutter 50% of the work, or at least 40%. I think that there's two people in a household. They both work typically now. I think men help, but mostly women have a different standard of cleanliness and eating and stocking a house, and that men don't. And so men are being taken care of by the women because they're living at the standard of this woman.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I guess what I saw growing up was equal, and my dad doing so much of the heavy lifting, especially now they live on this farm. My mom couldn't live there without him. She said that. It's not that she's not capable. She can't live there without him. She wouldn't. If, God forbid he were to pass, she wouldn't be able to live there. And in my relationship, my partner lightens the load. I don't feel like I'm ever taking care of him. I feel like he takes care of me way too much. I wouldn't sign up for that, where I feel like you have made my life harder. So I'm not trying to brag, but I want that for every woman, because I understand the inverse, where you're this sucks for me. And I saw Mark Manson had posted recently, and we love him. We've had him on the show twice, and he's an author and a speaker, but he did some video of in defense of marriage. Marriage is great. People aren't talking about this enough. And a lot of the comments were for you. for you as a man. And I don't know anything about his relationship and I don't know how his wife feels, but it was just funny that he was just like, guys, marriage is great. And people
all men are like, fuck yeah, it is.
Yeah.
I mean, I live my life by a certain standard. And if you live with me, like you get to, how lucky are you get to live at that standard. And I think living with somebody is hard and you have to choose your battles. So like, I can't come down on somebody every time they leave a wet towel on the floor and they just don't run water in a dirty dish. They don't clean up after themselves, that the trash is overflowing. I can't pick every battle, but I could see somebody saying to me like, that's not the standard I want to live at. That's the standard you want to live at. So you do it. And that's not totally fair, but sort of it is.
Yeah.
Like there could be a man that's like, I'm fine having 6 dishes in the sink and you're not. So you clean it up.
Well, what's the quote? Are you great partners, but terrible roommates?
Yeah.
I love the sentiment of that.
Yeah.
That speaks to a lot of people. Like that could be the cleanliness thing.
Like really
it could
sloppy.
be, just.
Oh yeah. Like you love each other so much.
Yeah, but I don't, this
domestic
sucks
stuff.
and shit, like, which could be how people feel.
Yeah. Yeah.
What other insights did you find that were really interesting?
I think it's so fascinating to talk to older women and hear their stories because I am learning that there are a lot of women who felt like they were scammed by the promises of marriage and they didn't get the fruits of it.
Scammed how so?
Like there were promises that if you do the domestic work, you will be cared for in return, that kind of thing. And there was actually one woman who spoke to me and she was not happy in her marriage and she had been cheated on. And she ultimately did not want to go on the record, but she felt like he loved her. She had his children. And then, he ended up getting together with a younger woman, which we know that story over and over again. But it's really fascinating to me how younger, especially Gen Zers, are spending a lot more time interrogating marriage and interrogating the things that seem most natural to us, especially things that are framed to women as the most natural kinds of love. And I think the reason for that is queerness has become so much more mainstream with Gen Z, especially so many of them are identifying as queer. Yeah. And I think with that comes interrogating domesticity in new ways.
Totally. And people are having children less. I think more and more women are out earning men. They're they're out educating men. Yep. And so this dynamic of if I do these things, I will be taken care of. Women don't need to be taken care of anymore.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, there was another survey that just came out from Pew. Less than half of women want to have children, less than half of young women, whereas over half of men want to have children.
Huh. Okay.
Where I feel like motherhood used to be framed as this whole life path of marriage, you fall in love, you date, you get engaged, you get married, you have children. It used to be so aspirational. And I think that people are really, really starting to think, wait, why has motherhood been pushed on me for so long? I don't actually want this. And it is fascinating that less women want it, probably because it's more work for them.
Totally. We've always said we could be a dad.
Yeah. It's
I would
like
be
a
an amazing
truck hit
dad.
you,
I could be a
pushing baby out.
stepdad.
Yeah.
Great fucking dad.
I want to talk about something. I think sometimes, and I brought this up with the square footage of it all and separate bathrooms and little things like that. And I think sometimes people don't consider these things. It sounds too granular. It sounds silly, but these things matter. And also comes down to what Rayna was saying about we're both working from home. I think that's huge. When I think about living with my partner, I'm thinking about I'm going to work every day. Yeah. I'm not thinking about us both being in the home and working from home. And I wonder how much that plays a part in relationships in terms of a negative impact. And I just think people don't necessarily consider these factors. They think living together or not. They don't think of how much space do we have? Do we each have our separate TV if we want? Yep. Do we have places we can get away? If we're in a fight, can I go out here? Is there an outdoor space? If there's a pet, do we both work from home? Or there's a big difference between living in a sizable house, someone goes to work or both people go to work, and two people living in a 1-bedroom, 1-bathroom apartment in a city like New York, both working from home. Those are vastly different lifestyles.
Yep. Fighting in the homes that I lived in with my boyfriends, I just had to go to the bathroom to cry and I still was 10 feet away from them.
Yeah. Do you have thoughts on this? I mean, this kind of gets into more of the relationship aspect of it all, but just the space from each other.
I think it's so, I study women and domesticity. I just think it's fascinating, because historically women are often judged by the state of the home. So in a movie or a book, if a woman's house is falling apart, that usually suggests something about her character, right?
Mm-hmm. Sure.
And so I'm really interested in how we depict these relationships in terms of like television shows and movies and things like that, like off-kilter domestic arrangements, I found often have to be framed in the language of like normativity in order to be legible to the audience. So like often historically, if two women, there's this show called Kate and Allie where these two women are left by their husbands. It's basically like a precursor to Grace and Frankie, and they're forced to move in together out of financial necessity. And over and over and over, the show has to align them with a lesbian couple in order to be like, their love, their friendship is real love. But we can't really like think about other kinds of relationships that I think are often like as big, and like the feelings that come from friendship, I think are like as big, if not bigger than romantic feelings. And I think that even though we're starting to interrogate the kind of normative nuclear family living in this house, we still have not found ways to represent other kinds of living arrangements that honor other kinds of bonds we might have with our, you know, with our family members, with our community, et cetera.
Totally.
I mean, I think that we're all taught to drive towards this goal, right? You move in with somebody, you get married, you live together. Like it's inconceivable. And we polled over 15,000 of our audience members. 25% said that they would consider living separately, but 75% absolutely not. That's crazy to them.
But you don't know until you know.
You don't know. I mean, I've had good experiences and bad. If you remove the financial component, if you said you could afford anything you want, and if you remove children from it and said, you know, you don't need to, there's no division of labor here, you could do whatever you want, would people still choose to live together? And I find that really interesting. I don't know what the answer would be. Because, you know, Ashley's in a new relationship, they're obsessed with each other, they're crazy about each other. But like, I don't know, after a few years, not everybody's like that.
Oh, that's scary. I don't want to think about
I'm
it.
not talking about you.
I know that's
it's never gonna happen to you.
We're all coming from our past experiences and where we are in our state of life, you know, like that's why you're talking to women, older women who have been married and had a negative experience. Like there's no way to answer this like unbiased or something based on our own experience. And it was so funny.
There's a million factors.
Exactly.
Even like where you choose to live. A lot of women brought up safety. I feel safer with a man in my home.
Yeah, there is that.
You know, I live on a street with no street light. So if somebody, I would love to have a man in my home. When somebody is staying with me, I always feel safer. And so that is I mean, there's a million factors.
Or like someone coming in to fix something, you know.
There's a guy upstairs right now. I wish Tessa was upstairs with him babysitting him.
We did the Drew Barrymore show. We were on a panel for Valentine's Day. And Dr. Ruth, RIP, God rest her soul, she was on it, and Matthew Hussey and Damona Hoffman. And it was just this really fun thing. But do you remember when that woman asked from the audience, and she was basically saying like, I don't want to ever live with anybody, and like it's a problem and this and that, and it comes out that she's single, like, and she was kind of like so worried about like an imaginary future partner wanting to like be in her space. And Matthew Hussey was, in the nicest way possible, was like, let's cross that bridge when we get to it. Like you have no idea who you're going to meet, how they're going to feel. And it was like interesting. And you know, I certainly had my feelings before this relationship, but I certainly wasn't like, oh my God, how am I going to approach it? I was like, let's just wait till we get there.
Well, and I mean, I think embracing elasticity is like such a tenet of like queerness and queer studies and things like that. And this, you know, maybe you do pull a sauna and, you know, live apart for 8 months and 5 years.
When I write my
and
book.
Then get back together. Yeah, exactly. Like,
you
know, like, and people have been doing this. I don't know why I just thought when you said to write my book, I was thinking about Barack and Michelle Obama and how like Barack, like when he had to write his first book, he just like took off to be alone for like a couple months.
Yeah.
And he just wrote the thing in 3 months.
Yeah.
And like people, we see them as a pretty like normative couple, right? Michelle and Barack.
Totally.
Yeah. Like people don't talk about these weird diversions they have as diversions very often, but like so many jobs require you to live for a couple months in a different city, and you might not be able to bring your partner with you. Like relationships go through this kind of thing, and it's not a black or white issue.
Definitely. And then let's just talk about kids. I mean, is there any living apart together with kids, like dividing the kids up? I mean, I don't want to ignore that aspect. To me, I'm thinking of this as couples where they're empty nesters or they're not having children, but can we talk about
like a married couple that are still together living apart? Did you see that?
With kids? I don't know.
I'm trying to think. So there was a couple I spoke to where the wife, her name was Connie, she's more of a city person. In her hut, she fell in love with this man who grew up on a farm, and his dream was always to buy a farm. So
everybody that I'm interested in.
She was living on this farm with him for like
my dad.
He's literally like His occupation is farmer. Like I asked him, so like, what is your occupation? I have to say it in the article. He's like, I'm a farmer.
I'm a farmer, yeah.
And over COVID, she just started to go like insane on that farm.
Yeah.
And so she got an apartment in like a city, probably like a half an hour drive away from him. And part of the city thing is they had adopted a child who was struggling in the rural public school system. And so he ended up coming with his mother and living with her in this apartment. And then his father comes like 3 or 4 times a week to see him.
Okay.
And that was an older child, so that's different. But I did actually speak to a couple, and they were on the Modern Love. There was a Modern Love episode about them. It was called like The Politics of a Throuple or something like that. But they're a lesbian couple. They do have children, and the children stay in the house.
You were going to say this?
Yeah.
Oh, and the parents.
And the parents shift back and forth.
But the parents are together?
So the parents have like 2 days. They have like 3 full days a week together.
But the parents are together.
The parents are married.
I've heard of this when parents separate.
Yeah.
They keep the kids in the nest or something.
I forget what the word is called. There's a word for it when people are
kids
divorced
stay
and the kids stay
Probably
in the
it's like
house.
something prescribed and like how to divorce with your children or something like that. But it was a similar thing where the children stayed in the house and they each had their own places, but they were like trading.
I mean, I think clearly support families being all in the same home. That's how I grew up. I couldn't imagine it other way. I couldn't imagine my brother and his stuff. I mean, so that's a lot to be said for that. I just, I asked out of curiosity.
Yeah.
And I don't know what that does to a kid psychologically, but of course parents are divorced and the kids are fine. I mean, that goes without saying. So I was just out of curiosity because we talked about this with a previous guest of kind of parenting can be like unrelenting. And so you sometimes hear divorced parents say like, I'm a better parent because I could get a break when there's a joint custody, obviously. So
yeah. And I mean, like there was this whole wave of like literature that came out in the past 6 months, like older white, like hetero woman divorcing and talking about like how marriage like really screwed them over or whatever. And one of them is called All Fours by Miranda July. And it follows this woman who like pretended like she had a work trip and she was like leaving for New York, but she actually just drove to a motel like 20 minutes away and spent like $10,000 to have an interior decorator come and like fix the thing up. And she had this like emotional, but also physical affair with this guy. Like it never became physical, but it was very clear. That's the way they were speaking. That's what was going on.
I understand the need for your own space.
I know. And like, it's not black and white too. Like you can have like, and her thing was she ended up going back to the relationship, but like you can have like one night a week where maybe you sleep over at a friend's house or like you have a she shed in the backyard. Like, I don't know. Like I would love to have like a she shed and like stock it with like food and have a shower, like.
Yeah. I mean, the man cave, like where did that came out of men needing their own space.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I think that to me is I feel like any partner I've ever had, I've wanted to be around them all the time. And obviously it's inconceivable to me to have children and not live in the same home as somebody, but to have your own space. I mean, we had a studio in New York when I lived with my last boyfriend. Ashley and I had a studio space where we recorded it. And one day I was like, I'm going to be in there and you can't come there.
Yeah.
Like, don't come up. She lived in the building. I was like, don't come upstairs. I just need to be alone in the studio. I need to get away from, I told him I had plans.
Yeah.
I just, what you pooped and watched Bravo.
I got chips and snacks and I just wanted to poop alone.
Exactly.
I watched reality TV alone in the studio. I just... It was really important to me to have a space where I didn't have to like see his fucking face. And I wanted to be around him all the time, but I needed some space.
Well, like you also want to, if you love him so much, you might want to be like putting your best foot forward, like on for him. And that's really, really tiring. You know?
I like that point that like sometimes you're like, I just need to be alone. I'm not mad at you. You didn't do anything. I'm not in a space to talk to you.
Yeah.
Sometimes I wake up for a few hours. I'm not trying to talk to anybody.
Yeah.
But it just comes down to the most simple point, which is we're best in relationships when we're our best selves, which could be we're getting enough sleep. I mean, to Rayna's point, she can't function if she doesn't get her 8 hours of sleep.
Yeah.
Or, I haven't had my own space. I'm not feeling independent. I haven't started the book I said I was going to write. Like all those things just boil down to like we need to take care of fill our own cups before we can like fill others or whatever it is. Put your mask on before you help others. All that stuff. Like it just... I don't know. So I hope that most people are in relationships where if these come up, they feel comfortable to discuss with their partner.
Yeah.
I like that you brought up all the people feel that they lose themselves in a marriage. They just stop socializing or doing things for themselves. And so I think some of it is maybe just force yourself to have plans with friends at least once a week. go do something for yourself. Take a class. Like find a hobby, take a pottery class.
Yeah.
Like go to a movie alone once a week.
Yeah.
I like spending the night at your friend's house.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, if your kids are
Sleepover,
like, where's mommy?
Like slumber
Like,
party.
but with
Whatever though. It's like she's with her best friend tonight.
Yeah. Like my mom would be at Aunt Kathy's.
Your mom would definitely do that. Our audience was really great. They loved the topic. And we asked, do you guys have any non-traditional living situations? A lot of people submitted stuff. A lot of people are living in vans.
in the back of a van traveling in Australia.
Scandinavian sleep method, which is same bed, separate comforters.
Oh my God.
Which I absolutely love. They run businesses in multiple locations, so they'll be in different states part of the time.
Okay.
A lot of like traveling for work.
Yeah.
We share all the spaces, but he sleeps on the couch. I sleep in the bedroom. Good for her for
Oh my God.
negotiating
Amazing.
that.
Wow.
Yeah, my boyfriend and I moved in with my parents to save money, 2 separate bedrooms and bathrooms, mainly because of his snoring, but we're very happy. Together for 4 years, no plans of getting married or moving in. We enjoy some separation.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it said sad that it's unconventional, but all household responsibilities are split 50-50. We both work. So there is that. I mean, yeah.
A firefighter. Marry a firefighter. They have to sleep at the station sometimes.
Oh
That came
my
up. That was on the
God.
Yeah,
list.
I mean, that comes down to the thing too of like relationships work a lot when someone is traveling for work.
Yeah.
And, you get your time. I mean, the way my mom travels more than my dad, like she takes all her girls' trips. But then the few times when he travels and, he goes on ski trips and stuff, I mean, she just gets to like binge Netflix.
Yeah.
I mean, she's thriving.
I know.
She's Kathy over, they get drunk. I mean, it's just doing their thing. So they enjoy their space.
Yeah, I'm like curious about when people, I feel like there might be an age when people realize, oh, I don't have to just travel with my partner. Like I can travel with like my best friend from childhood or whatever,
It should be always. You should always know that you can do that at any age, every age.
Yeah.
Well, any other final thoughts?
I guess I know someone who got divorced recently, and she was talking about how anytime her spouse stepped in the room, she would see herself as a wife, and she was like, I need to be a good wife to him. And I just think that can be so suffocating to have this like invisible thing hanging over you. And it can be so much easier to be like, oh, is he hungry? Like, let me get up and interrupt what I'm doing to make sure that he's all right. And I think in thinking about something as like seemingly tiny as having a separate room where you can go and just shut the door, I've seen from the couples that I've talked to that it really, really can like breathe new life into the relationship and turn it into something that they didn't think would be possible before.
What an amazing way to wrap up. Kelly, you killed it. I know you were a little nervous. This is like your first podcast.
Yeah, you were great.
I mean, you speak for a living, but
I know.
this was incredible. We could talk about this forever. And so thank you so much.
Yeah, and if any of our listeners are like published New York Times writers, you can feel free to email us.
And anything, do you want to plug anything?
My Instagram is Kelly_Coyne. I definitely post all of my writing there.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for such a great
Thank you for
episode.
Yes, thank you for the
me.
pitch. Thank you for coming out here.
Yeah.
You live on the East Coast, so we appreciate you making the trip. And you guys know where to find us, girlsgottaeat.com. That's going to be tour tickets. We cannot wait to see you guys on tour. And Girls Gotta Eat podcast on Instagram and TikTok. I'm Ash Hess. Rayna is Rayna.Greenberg. Our other company, Vibes Only, vibesonly.com. Subscribe on YouTube. Share this episode with a friend who may need it. And we will see you Thursday.
Have a good week, guys.
Bye.